We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such.
Are you serious? Like, we at season 7? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 seasons. Yeah, season 7. Magic number. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna go in depth with that, but yeah, this will be a very positive season. I don't know why and what's making me say that, but everything's changed. Everything is a lot different. I know the title you'll still see the podcast about sports and stuff, but yeah, I ain't gonna get no sports. Correction, you will still get sports because this is still called a podcast about sports and stuff. Just want to add that in there. I'm still, like I said, stuff is very fluctuating now. I found that the connection with things is to get people to talk, as well as me taking time to talk. So you'll notice it, especially when you hear the first few episodes of this season. But it's just about sitting down and just having good talk, good conversation. Pass the message. Y'all know they ain't going nowhere. If you know, you know. If you've been around for a while, you already know how we give it up. But just hang in there. The content's amazing. The moves are even more amazing. And just put yourself in the right headspace to get this information. So hope y'all enjoy. All right, oh man, I'm sitting here so hyped because I kind of, as you can see by the title, it's a surprise show. And welcome to episode 377. This is probably one of the most unique pre-pods that I've done because I went into like a undercover playlist bomb of just throwing some music together thanks to YouTube. And the last couple songs, one of which is forever going to be one of my favorite songs, is by Stevie Wonder called Flower Power or Power of Love, something like that. And I literally can play that song and sing it, listen to it. It just gives me that space to unplug. And right after that, I was like, ooh, it got Steve Lacy, Bad Habit. So I played part of Bad Habit. And what I'm finding that is a creative thing to do, and this is kind of almost a tech tip that has nothing to do with nothing, but if you are recording a podcast and you need like a practice audio or like, you want to do a mic check, don't do the typical check 1 2 blah blah whatever. Find a song, sing it in your karaoke voice of just singing it, but it's even more fun because obviously you're not gonna have the lyrics, so just listen to it, sing the song as best as you can, and then just see if the audio picks up properly, and then that's your way to kind of test your audio for the podcast. So that's something that I've done it before, but doing it tonight, it was kind of cool, kind of like a fun little kickback. So I've burned that nearly 2-minute intro with that information, but I want to say this: I'm making some changes in my life, and I'm beginning to notice those changes. And I know a lot of you are probably going to say, well, what changes are you seeing? Or what do you mean by you're making changes? Well, I made a somewhat of a big decision by unplugging unplugging the socials. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok. I've taken all of those apps off of my phone and off of my iPad. Now on my laptop, I still have it where I can browse to any of them, but I don't look to use it to that level or to that extreme. It's there and available on an as needed basis, but I'm more tied into just getting the separation going. And I don't want this to sound like I'm using the podcast as a space to make this announcement. I'm just talking about it because it is kind of the latest and greatest that's going on. I will be the first to tell you that many of you, if you've been following the journey and know me on a tech level, I did this before back in April. And for the month of April was a little different because it was kind of my introduction, getting fit in, kind of getting my feet settled with my new job. And the job's going fine since then. I just kind of made it where April was a month of, I had the apps, but I didn't post anything. I didn't do any update statuses. Do any status updates, anything. I really didn't interact with anybody's posts. I was just out there. This time around, it's a little bit different. I decided, I don't even know what that was. I decided to kind of go the explicit approach by deleting, like just outright deleting the apps and pretty much avoiding the notifications. I've even taken it a step further, and I'm going to see how this goes, trying this out. I found a case that you can put your phone in it's like a phone lockbox. Now, I'm going to be honest with what I'm about to say. I like the mechanism of this lockbox because it's not if any of you have been following the podcast or know, I had a lockbox before that had a timer on it. And the timer option is cool. The only problem is once you lock it, it's literally on the basis of you can't go into it for anything until that timer ends, which can be a good thing and also a bad thing, especially if you're in a position of, I need to get to my phone like right now. So that was one of my trade-offs at that time when I got it. And I ended up, I probably shared the story on here before, but I got the lockbox probably a day after owning it. I had to unlock it where while it was on the timer, I had to use, because they give you like 2 emergency unlocks. I had to use one of the emergency unlocks to get into it because of work. So the option I'm doing now is with these little plastic keys, which the plastic keys look promising and optimistic, but the thing that I'm looking at is just natural wear and tear of the groove in using it for so many times if it's going to cause the box to get locked. So that's a little bit of a concern to me, and that could be mind over matter. But what I'm going to do is use this as a placeholder and try it out. My next level, which I'm honestly to the point of being okay with doing, is getting like an actual wooden box and locking the phone in that. Because I know with that, it's basically on the basis of if you got the key, if it's most of your locks you have, you're either going to have them where it's a 3-letter or 3-number combo key, or you may have the key where you may have the type where it's it comes with a little key and you just open it with the key and then you can get into it. So I'm weighing those options on that. If depending on what happens with this, like I said, so far I've used it today and been able to lock my phone away for like a good couple of long increments, and it makes a big difference. Phone will be in D&D more often, so Do Not Disturb will be the lifestyle of the vibe. And that's kind of the updates there. I was initially going to have a guest come on the show who had been on the show before, my friend Ramona. We were going to talk about her book, kind of where things are with her first book, and kind of have some freestyle. I don't want to get too much here because I want to save what I was going to ask for when we actually do the interview. So looking forward to that and pretty excited on that layer and level. Again, like I said, this is not going to be a very wordy or very detailed podcast. This is just I don't want to say a weekly space saver, but this is more of a weekly unpack. This morning, I did get to catch up with a friend of mine, which turned into a workout. And when your body moves and you know things are moving different, you get reminded unexpectedly. And I definitely was reminded, like, oh man, it's been a while since I've worked out or really got the body going like I need to. Um, a peak point that has occurred recently. I'll share two. I'll share this. I'll share some design and tech updates, and then actually I may give a little bit of a AI conversation also, and then we'll wrap up. I've been, as many of you have been hearing me talk about from through the podcast from time to time, I've been talking about my weight loss journey or just trying to get back in shape. It's been more of a getting back in shape than anything else. And last Sunday probably was the one peak point that I had that was unexpected yet eye-opening, because what I did was there's a specific stretch, and I would do it while we're recording, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to bore you with the excitement from the stretch. However, the exercise that was done is on the TRX machine. If any of you do workouts, there's you hold the bars, hold the TRX rope device, and you lay back, and you basically are giving your legs flexibility and just kind of letting go. And what made it interesting in doing that is it gave me a chance to really disconnect from not just from the workout that I just did, but kind of also a disconnect from myself. And I was away from the world for probably about 10 seconds. And I know it's one of those things that's you're away from the world. What do you mean? I'm I really mentally, it was almost like I mentally gave myself permission to unplug, and it was one of the best feelings in the world. So I enjoyed that and shared my experiences with that online. And that was kind of, ironically, that might have been, I did one other post as a black and white photo. And right after I did that post, it was kind of I just disappeared. And I've shared, like I said, I've shared with people offline that I was taking a break. And I've been telling, and you all, anyone who listens to the podcast, you'll get to notice that I'm taking a break. So yeah, that's that on that. From the design aspect, business aspect, it's been kind of stagnant. It's no one's fault but mine. I'm not sharing it woe is me, looking for pity, just kind of addressing the elephant in the room, since ironically my LLC is to be renewed soon. So timing is impeccable, of course. And yeah, just kind of piecing that puzzle together in its own unique way, to say the least. Google I/O did their event. Any of you who know with tech, we're at that peak point of the year where you're kind of it's almost like it's E3 on a different level, because everyone's going to start doing their keynotes over the next couple of weeks if they haven't already done presentations. Case in point, Google did their event called Google I/O, and they gave a little bit more insight about AI that they're working on. They've made their AI application Bard open to everyone, so you don't have to sign up through a beta anymore. And that's pretty cool. I need to use it more often. I'm still kind of using traditional ChatGPT for right now, but Amazon has their own AI. Google has their own AI. Notion has an AI format. Bing has the feature and the ability to use AI. So a lot of these companies, a lot of platforms are starting to really gravitate to using that resource. And it's going to be here for a bit. I just try to make people more aware to not be as paranoid, oh, how does this affect our job, or how will this affect a day-to-day workflow? And I really don't see it making that big of an impact, because it still has to be managed and still kept up to date internally. And if something happens to it, it just loses the information. So it's almost like it has to start from scratch, but it generates and thinks, as it's gathering information from what's being shared or being asked about. And it does what Google has been doing for years. There's a reason that Google runs the way it does, where when you search for certain things, it lands where it lands on different charts or whatever. So that's what I have for that, on that update. my mental gauge, and I said I was going to wrap it up, but my mental gauge right now is at about a 2, maybe a 3. And what I mean, and let me give context. I don't want to come to this probably like, dang, that's really bad. But it's on a 5-point scale. So it's not a 10, traditionally you do scale of 1 to 10 where you're at mentally and all that stuff. In this case, it's where am I at mentally in just my gauge and my effort for myself and or for others. And right now it's a 2 out of 5. And what's causing that to become evident is things are working out and everything is going good, but there's this antsiness and edginess or edge that I have of feeling like I'm not doing enough. And it always comes up at a very unique time of the year. And this year it's kind of interesting because this is one of the first years where I'm really pressing the envelope of wanting to get as much as I can get done, but not being so hard on myself if everything doesn't go the way that I expect it to go. And I'm nearing a year since making a move that I didn't expect to happen, but happened, and knowing that I needed to really step up and, no pun intended, grow up. And now I'm sitting a year later and feeling as though I've gotten stuff accomplished. I've made some progress, but I haven't made the progress that I personally think I should be making. I don't know who I was talking. I think it might have been my friend when we were hanging out today, or we talked about it yesterday, as far as like if I have a girlfriend. And it's like, it's one of those things where I would love to have a girlfriend, have a relationship, have time and energy and effort for a relationship, but I don't have it. I don't have that space to provide to someone of the opposite sex on an intimate level to that extreme, while still making sure I have like the effort and ability for myself. And it's not that it doesn't exist, and it's not that it's not there, and it's not that I don't want it. It's just right now, it's just not on, it's literally not on my radar. And that's just kind of what it is. So the two or three is mostly just keeping the ship afloat and just staying in the right lane and getting what I need to get done, and finding ways to properly try to excel with what I'm doing. Not just business wise, not just work wise, but just life as a whole. So that's what I have on that. The message I want to pass along tonight or today, whenever you listen to it, because I'm likely going to upload this show on Sunday morning. The message I want to pass along is don't feel bad for what you choose to do for yourself. And this is kind of going to be a spinoff from what Mel Robbins has been talking about on her podcast. She recently did an episode talking about let them. Like, let people do or feel whatever they feel. At the end of the day, you're going to do what you're going to be doing. Or you may have to let folks go through what they need to go through and not be as hands-on as you normally would be. And it's going to apply in your day-to-day life of just not wanting to feel, and this ties into what I just shared as far as like wanting to make sure everything is in alignment and everything is like going according to plan. A couple of friends got a message from me as far as finding the balance between planning and executing, because a lot of people are great at planning. They over plan sometimes and they under execute, or they over execute and they under plan. They don't plan enough, but they get quite a fair amount done. And sometimes you can feel more burnout from the over execution, but you can also feel just as much burnout from the over planning. So really find that balance, find your sweet spot, find that ability to like put yourself in the right space or in the right frame of mind to excel, improve, and build upon what you're doing, and not feel like it's the end of the world. And as I close and I'm looking at my screens, I always look at this message from Steve Jobs, and I feel like I need to, every so often, I'm always finding myself wanting to put this on my page as my cover art. Like right now, I have it as nobody cares, nobody cares, work harder, which is still true. But Steve Jobs did I believe it was a speech for college. And one message he gave was, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. And why this message is important is the image that shows this has a pocket watch in the background. And I just recently acquired my first pocket watch in probably over 20 to 25 years. As a kid, I was the type that I was very different, and I didn't understand being different. But now I'm beginning to realize there was a reason that I was different, and I did things my way. Everyone looks at you like, why are you doing this? Or why are you choosing to do that? Or what makes what you're doing better than what others are doing? And the sad part about that question is the genuine answer is it's not. I don't think that it's better than what you're doing. I just think what I'm doing works for me, and what you're doing works for you. Or what you think I should be doing is what works for you. It doesn't work for me. And we sometimes don't understand that it's a reason why we're all individuals and why we all have a mind of our own. So that's my extended, long-winded message to pass along. Next week, we may be doing a podcast. I'm supposed to be going to a baseball game, so I may have more time allotted in that, as well as possibly trying to watch the Champions League game, pending on how the day goes. Because I'm supposed to be, I have plans to celebrate. A friend of mine's, he graduated from school, and he's having like a get together with his peoples, and it'll be kind of cool to get a little bit of mental R&R and a reset to just get out and enjoy yourself. So just making the most of that and finding that happy medium. Like that's really what I'm beginning to see is more important than anything else. So that's what I have. The energy is interesting today. It's not like I'm not in some like low sunken place. I'm not like in a dark, morbid mood. It's just a lot going on behind the scenes and trying to not press the thinking as hard. But then the more interesting part is taking those moments and those opportunities to just genuinely unplug and just live a little and be a little. And most importantly, give a little more, not to everyone else, but to myself. And that's what I want or hope everyone is able to do more of in their lives. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. And again, we may have a show next week. We may not. I'm not going to jump too early ahead of anything. And I'm kind of gonna let the process run for itself and go from there. So that's what I have for y'all. I hope everyone has an amazing week. And I'm going to do something different tonight or today. Tonight or today, at this time, I really want to take time and allow people to invite their greater self into their life, which even on a long scale layer is being more open to accepting you for you and being thankful for who you are and being grateful for who you are and taking the opportunity to know that you can be able to listen to this podcast, because a lot of people don't have the ability to hear, or that you can actually use your phone and swipe on your screen, that a lot of people don't have the ability to touch. Just remembering the things that you have and remembering to zero in on how important those small things are that we look at as like it should just be there. Like we walk to our car and we look at it like when we get in, whether you turn the key or you got push to start, you think when you hit push to start, it's supposed to just cut on and everything's going to just work like it's supposed to all the time. When it doesn't happen, you sometimes don't realize that everything can change. So that's what I'm going to leave y'all with tonight. And again, we will be doing this again soon. And until then, the Past signing out. Another episode is completed. Thank you all for listening. If you want to check out the podcast, you can go to buzzsprout.com. If you're looking to do podcasts, you can go to buzzsprout.com. To get to my podcast, you'll go to the pastbtpod.buzzsprout.com. If you're looking at getting a microphone, I always suggest getting the Blue Yeti X. That is the microphone that I use. If you're starting off and you need something more affordable, Samsung Meteor, it's a worthwhile investment. And there are other microphones that are going to be simple enough. My big suggestion I tell everyone whenever looking for a microphone, be sure that your microphone has the ability to have you listen to your audio or listen to yourself as you're talking. It will make a big difference in your editing and your podcast. Also, most importantly, and I tell people this is a tip offline, but I'm giving this in the final listen or at the end of the show. Drink water while recording, and also just drink water in general. But drink water while you're recording, and the reason why, you'll be surprised. All right, see y'all on the next show.